Quick warning, before you click play on that video, I say and right a lot. So if you guys want to take frequency behavior on my first video, hopefully we'll see a decrease in that over time. But that's just me, and I just caught myself saying it again, so I apologize. Enjoy. Hey guys, welcome to the first installment of the Parent Trap, right? Thank you for joining. I'm excited to get started. I'm excited to pour into you guys. I'm excited for things that are to come within this company and with our journeys, right? And so I just want to outline some things for you here before we get started. This is going to be a real authentic talk, right? So it's going to be real interactive, but it's also going to be conversational, right? So you can see I'm on the couch right now, relaxing, chilling, getting my back support as well too. Old athlete injuries, but that's neither here nor there. But I'm excited to get started with you guys. I just want to outline it. I don't want to keep you guys too long, right? Because I know you guys have things to tend to, children, to kind of keep safe, keep out of trouble. It might be a little bit too quiet right now, so you got to run in and check on them, but that's okay, because I only have about 5 questions for you guys today on this first episode, on this first installment. So I hope you guys are ready to receive. Hope you guys are open. Hope you guys are honest with yourselves, because without that kind of full transparency, we really can't get to the bottom of where we want to start, right? So we need to create a solid foundation. Without a solid foundation, we know things are going to fracture, right? They're going to collapse. They're going to fall. They're going to break down in whatever capacity, whether it's building a structure or if it's a relationship, right? So without a solid bulletproof foundation, we can never really succeed. And so today we're going to get to that bottom, right? We're going to bunker in. We're going to start bulletproofing the walls. We're going to start figuring out who we are so we can kind of become impenetrable, right? And so this is going to be a process. It's going to maybe even feel like therapy for you. So I'm definitely all here for you whenever you guys need me. But the great thing about YouTube as well, you can pause this, right? And so if there's some questions that, I might ask that you guys need to take a second and think about it, just pause it, and then just come right back to me. But with those 5 questions, let's get started. The first question I have for you to help build that foundation of who you are is, who are you, right? Who were you before the kids? Who were you before the relationship? Who were you prior to obligations and responsibilities, right? So I want you guys to really figure out and jot down who you are, right? Were you the type of guy to just pick up and go travel? Were you the type of lady that, took herself out on dates, right? Did you have your own kind of side hustle, your side gig? Did you bar hop frequently, right? Did you go to all these sporting events because it was Sunday and you loved football, right? Were you a shopper? Did you go every weekend to cop, the latest, hype beast trends or, whatever it may be? Who were you, right? So let's figure out who you were, because without knowing who you are, you won't be able to give yourself to others in the fullest capacity, right? So that's the first question I have for you guys. The second question I have for you guys, and we're going to get deep here, is how were you raised, right? Because a lot of times when I do talk to parents in these consultations, they're splitting images of how they were raised, right? And so how they were raised in the 50s or the 60s, 70s, 80s, however old the parents are, right? So they only mimic what they were taught, and then it trickles down, right? And so that trickle down effect might not be effective right now with the current state of culture, with the current direction where you want your child to go, right? Or it just not might work for you and your family or your household, right? So I want you to write down now how you were raised, right? Because that's going to impact how you're raising your child or your children, right? And so now that we know that who you are, how you were raised, the third thing I want you guys to think about is how has that affected how you parent on a day-to-day basis, right? So with maybe what you're hearing, how you were raised, how you're trying to figure out who you are as a person, how has that affected you as a parent, right? Are you parenting? Do you feel inadequate? Do you feel guilty? I know I'm talking to some parents here today that, might have comorbidities or children on the spectrum, children with ADHD, ADD, all these different OCD. I mean, I can read out the DSM-5 if you want me to, but I know I have parents from all different backgrounds on here. So, how has that affected you as a parent, right? On who you are, trying to balance who you are with what you have to do for your child and then trying to remember, okay, my mom or dad used to do this to me, so now let me try this, especially with our younger parents, right? Who have, toddlers that they're starting to raise, right? It's this cyclical nature that I want us to kind of highlight here throughout this series, right? And that either we need to kind of break that cycle, or we can revamp that cycle, or we can kind of reinvent it, right? So let's take what did work with what my mom did, and maybe let's leave out what my dad did, right? And so let's maybe take okay, my dad did show up to my baseball game, so hey, let me start showing up to my daughter's, softball games, right? So we can definitely mix and match. It's definitely not going to be a one size fits all throughout this series, or even how you program, right? So I'm here to give you guys strategies based upon my experiences, of course, with consulting with parents and working with parents through, barriers, difficulties that they might face day to day. Which kind of jumps into my fourth question, right? Is what are your day-to-day difficulties, right? So what do you struggle with? Is it a schedule? Is it being on time? Is it following through? Is it different things that you don't have a clear mind? Maybe that's just messing up your whole day, right? You're upset because at 10:30 you missed the doctor's appointment, and now you have to rush, and now you have to call off work and then call your boss. And so, what's your difficulties that you're facing day to day? Write those down for me so we can have that foundation, right? Because if we want to improve everyday life, then we have to figure out what our barriers are to that, right? And so as you guys are writing these down, hopefully, I won't say hopefully, but I will be giving you guys strategies in the future here to mitigate those deficits, right? To mitigate those delays that you're seeing, to mitigate those barriers so that we can, work through those. And then the last thing, like I said, I'm not going to keep you guys too long, is for those that are in a relationship, right? Who have, a significant other or a partner that they're building with, or that they have life with, and there's another child, there's a child involved, right? How was you guys' overall communication? Right, all right. Give me a scale 1 to 10, right? 1 being horrible, 10 being maybe I talked to them a little bit too much, right? So give me a number here so that we can work with, and so you can jot that down so you guys can know where you're at. Because if you're at an 8 and your partner's at a 2, there's a disconnect that we need to bridge that gap, right? The foundation is a little bit shaky if you have these preconceived notions on, oh yeah, I communicate so much, and then your wife is like, he doesn't communicate enough, right? There's that disconnect, right? And so I'm here to bridge that gap. I'm here to highlight that for you because communication is going to be the key to kind of everything, right? So if I don't say what's on my mind, if I don't communicate, if I'm not authentic, if I'm not honest in what's going on, how I'm feeling, then how is somebody else supposed to know? Or how am I supposed to put on a mask and play the role when deep down I'm hurting? I'm hurting bad. I don't even want to be here. Right? So that communication is deeper than just saying how you feel. It's deeper than, not saying what you think might not be important, right? So definitely work on that communication. Write it down. Communication, connectedness, relationships. We can see that it all kind of works together, right? And then for my single fathers and mothers, I know you're struggling. I know you're in this together. Do you have a support system, right? Hopefully you do, and with that support system, same question still applies, right? That relationship, do you communicate with that support system, right? Do you talk to someone how you're feeling? Do you have an outlet? If you don't, let's Google, let's look at therapy, let's look at, maybe reach out to some friends that we haven't talked to in a while. Let's start creating a support system, because you weren't meant to be on this world alone. Right. And so that's why that connectedness is so important, because we don't want to isolate. We don't want to become a recluse. We don't want to be, in our homes, by ourselves, just alone. Right. We as humans, being social is embedded within us. Right. And so if you don't have that support system, let's start looking for one. Let's start creating one. But that's all the questions that I kind of had for you guys today. I appreciate you guys, tapping in with me on my first episode. It's live. We're rolling. I apologize for the breaks or, the things that might not have gone perfect, but here we are. We're here in this moment. And like I said, even though, I'm working with you guys throughout all this, ABA is just my platform. Of course, my background is in ABA, my master's, my BCBA, my LBA I'm all ABA down to the core, but I also know there's life outside of ABA. And that's what we're here for, it's not only for ABA, right? It's deeper than that. And so I appreciate it. Thank you guys for rocking with me, rolling with me. Hope to see you guys next week. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Comment, subscribe, like, share, I think is like the motto that I usually see people end with. So if you guys can do all that, I'd appreciate it. I'm grateful, I'm thankful, and I appreciate you guys. I'll see you soon. And then last thing, before you guys minimize, click out, X me out, right? We're gonna get to ABA, right? So this is a ABA based platform, right? I am a BCBA, and like I said, it's at my core. We're going to get to those strategies. We're going to get to the antecedents. We're going to get to the parent goals. We're going to get to the communication, maladaptive behaviors, BF Skinner, schedules of reinforcement, intervals, all that stuff. We're going to get to it. But first, we need to build a solid foundation. So that's why series 1 or episode 1, we're going to get to the core, right? We need to figure out who you are. We're going to get to figure out your parenting style, how you were raised. We're going to figure out all these different things first, so we have a solid core, a solid foundation, and then we're going to build off of that. Because what I've noticed and throughout ABA training or throughout parent training within ABA is that parents, they want to do what's best. They want to, but they can't, right? They have 2 or 3 other children that they have to tend to. They maybe still feel guilty about the diagnosis that their child received, right? They're still maybe emotional. Sometimes the fathers, the disconnect for the fathers is real. You guys, probably 2 years within my company, 90% of my consultations, 95% are women, right? So the men, I'm talking to the dads, the fathers out there, the disconnect is real. I see dads get home and go straight upstairs. And it's heartbreaking because I see mom sees that, staff sees that, kiddo sees that, right? And that disconnect is what can maybe fracture a marriage, can maybe fracture a relationship. So talking to the fathers, we all need to do better, right? And so that's why we're here. That's why we're here in this moment. And I digress, but we're gonna get back to ABA here, week 2 or week 3. Just rock and roll with me here for a little bit if you guys would like, but we'll get to it. We'll get to the tantrums, the behaviors, that what do I do? How do I respond in the community, generalization, maintenance, all that ABA stuff that you're hearing about, that you're involved in. But I just wanted to give that little 2-minute and 20-second clip that we'll get to ABA, but first we have to build.